The war had not started with fire or weapons, but with silence. A silence that spread across the galaxy when the Empire of the Blue Crown sent its fleets to every world. The alien empire had ruled for centuries, and no voice dared to rise against it. But when their armies pushed toward the edge of human space, the silence broke. For the first time, the humans answered not with fear, but with resistance. Their ships were smaller, their weapons older, but their will was something the Empire had never seen. In one such battle, a human soldier named Marcus found himself stranded. His squad was scattered, his ship broken, and the only thing between him and death was luck. He stumbled through the wreckage of an alien city, smoke curling in the sky, the smell of burning stone mixing with the iron tang of blood. His armor was scratched and torn, his rifle almost useless, but his eyes stayed sharp. He was a survivor, and survival was something no empire could take from him. He did not expect to find her. She appeared like a vision from the smoke, a young girl with glowing golden eyes, her skin the deep shade of royal blue. She was dressed not as a warrior, but in light ceremonial robes, torn and stained with ash. At first, Marcus thought she was just another refugee running from the Empire's own flames. But then he saw the crest on her chest, the crest of the crown, the mark only the royal bloodline carried. The princess's daughter. Her breath shook as she backed against a wall, her small hands trembling. Soldiers had been hunting her, he realized. She had no guards left. And now, by chance, she had stumbled into a human. Her voice was barely more than a whisper, broken by fear. "Don't hurt me." Marcus raised his hand slowly, showing he carried no threat. His rifle stayed at his side, his tone calm even though the city still roared with war. "I won't harm you. I'm human, yes. But I'm not here for you." The girl's eyes searched his, confused. She had been told all her life that humans were dangerous, savage even. Her mother, the princess, had spoken of humans as a people who fought like cornered beasts. Yet here was one, standing tall, calm, steady in the chaos. He offered no chains, no threats. Only quiet words that somehow steadied her heart. Around them, the city crumbled. Distant explosions shook the ground, and the screams of soldiers echoed through the ruins. Marcus moved closer, careful not to startle her. He could see her lip trembling, her body shivering with fear. He crouched slightly, lowering himself so his height would not scare her. "You're not safe here," he said simply. "If you stay, they will find you." She blinked, uncertain. "Why would you help me?" "I'm the enemy." Marcus almost smiled, though his face stayed serious. "A child is not my enemy. You're someone who needs protecting. And I know what it means to protect." Her heart beat fast. She had lost everyone who should have defended her. Guards, soldiers, even her family's closest allies. Yet this stranger, this human she was raised to hate, spoke to her not as a conqueror, but as if she was something fragile worth saving. For the first time in her young life, she whispered words that surprised even herself. Her golden eyes softened as she looked at him. "Why do I feel protected by you?" The question hung in the air, delicate yet heavy. Marcus did not answer right away. He only reached out his hand, steady, waiting. Not forcing, not demanding. Simply waiting. The ground rumbled as another blast tore through the city. The girl flinched, but his hand remained steady. Slowly, with trembling fingers, she placed her hand in his. It was a small hand, soft and cold, but he held it with a strength that carried warmth instead of control. He pulled her gently to her feet. "Stay close. I'll get you out." Together they moved through the ruins. Marcus led her with practiced care, every step chosen to avoid danger. He kept his body between her and the open streets, his sharp eyes watching every shadow. Whenever she stumbled, his hand held her steady. Whenever fear rose in her chest, the calm in his voice kept it from breaking loose. Behind them, the fires of war consumed the city. Ahead of them, survival was uncertain. But in that moment, one truth had formed. An alien princess's daughter, raised to see humans as dangerous beasts, now felt safer with one human soldier than with her own empire. And Marcus, who had come expecting only death, now carried something far heavier than survival. He carried the fragile trust of a child who belonged to his enemy, and he knew that no matter what waited ahead, he could not abandon her. The war around them was vast, endless, and merciless. But here, in the smoke of a dying city, a single bond was formed. A bond that would change the path of both human and alien worlds forever. The ruin stretched on like a maze, each corner hiding smoke, fire, or broken stone. Marcus guided the young alien girl with steady steps, his rifle hanging from one hand while the other stayed close to her. She moved quietly beside him, her eyes darting at every echo of boots or clash of weapons. The once great city of the Blue Crown was no longer filled with music or royal banners. It was now nothing but ash and shadows. The girl's voice was small, almost drowned by the distant thunder of falling towers. My guard said humans would kill me if I was ever captured. They said you would use me as a trophy. Marcus shook his head. Your guards believed fear was the strongest weapon. But fear only blinds you. I don't want a trophy. I just want to keep you alive. Her eyes lingered on him, puzzled. He didn't look like the human she had been shown in royal halls. Those stories painted humans as wild and brutal. But this one was calm, sharp-eyed, with a strength that wasn't cruel but protective. She whispered, "You fight the Empire. Yet you save me." Marcus didn't answer at once. He checked a ruined alley, then motioned her to follow. When he spoke, his words were low but firm. War is between rulers, not children. You didn't choose this fight. They passed a fallen statue of her grandmother, the old queen carved in perfect detail. Its head was broken off, lying in the dust. The girl stopped for a moment, staring at the face of her family crumbled on the ground. Her lips trembled, but she bit back tears. Marcus noticed. He slowed his steps, waiting until she could move again. Suddenly, voices rose nearby. Alien soldiers, armored and armed, marched through the ruins. Marcus grabbed the girl gently and pulled her into the shadow of a collapsed arch. He crouched low, his body shielding her as the soldiers passed. Their language was harsh, their words filled with orders to search and capture. The girl clung to Marcus's sleeve, her golden eyes wide with fear. He held a finger to his lips, signaling silence. The soldiers moved closer, their boots crunching rubble. For a moment, it seemed they would be discovered. Marcus steadied his breath, his muscles tense, ready to fight if needed. But the soldiers turned down another street. Their footsteps faded into the distance. Only then did Marcus relax his grip. He looked at the girl. You see? Quiet and patience save more lives than shouting and fire. Her voice shook. You didn't even breathe. How do you stay so calm? He gave a faint smile. I've had practice. Humans are born in hard places. We learn to stand when the world tries to crush us. For the first time, she smiled back, small but real. It surprised him how her face softened when she wasn't afraid. She looked less like the daughter of a princess and more like a child who wanted to feel safe. As they continued, Marcus noticed she began walking closer to him, no longer keeping distance. When rubble blocked the path, he lifted her over with ease. When smoke stung her eyes, he guided her hand to his shoulder so she wouldn't stumble. Slowly, her fear turned into trust, a fragile bond forming with every step. Yet danger was never far. By nightfall, the sky glowed red from burning towers. They found shelter inside the broken walls of an abandoned library. The air smelled of dust and ink, old books scattered across the ground. Marcus checked the doors and windows, then sat with his back against the wall, rifle across his lap. The girl curled near him, her voice soft in the silence. My mother said humans are dangerous. But when you stand beside me, I don't feel fear. I feel. She paused, searching for the right word. Safe. Marcus didn't look at her right away. He only adjusted his grip on the rifle, scanning the dark. That's enough, he said. As long as you feel safe, I'll keep doing my part. In the ruins of a dying empire, a promise was made without ceremony or oath. One human soldier, one alien child. Protector and protected. And beyond the flames of war, that bond would be tested in ways neither of them could yet imagine. The night in the ruins was long. The fires outside lit the sky in shades of red and orange, and every distant explosion shook the broken walls of the library. Marcus stayed awake, his rifle ready, while the alien princess's daughter slept against a pile of torn banners. She looked small, fragile, her breathing uneven, as if fear followed her even in dreams. When dawn finally touched the broken city, Marcus stirred her awake. We can't stay. The soldiers will sweep through again. She rubbed her eyes, blinking at the light filtering through the shattered windows. Where will we go? Out of the city, he answered simply. If I can reach my people, you'll be safe, the girl frowned. But if your commanders find me, won't they use me against my mother? Marcus paused. He hadn't thought about that. Humans were fighters, yes, but leaders of war were rarely soft when it came to leverage. Still, he could not tell her that. He crouched beside her, his tone calm. If they see what I see, they'll protect you. You're not a weapon. You're a child. Her golden eyes searched his, still unsure. Yet something in his voice gave her courage. She nodded slowly. Then I will follow you. They left the library, moving through the ashes of the once proud city. Statues lay broken, markets turned to rubble, and silence filled streets that once held music and laughter. Marcus guided her carefully, his eyes always scanning for movement. They weren't alone for long. From across a collapsed bridge, a squad of alien soldiers appeared, their armor shining faintly under the smoke-filled sky. Marcus pulled the girl down behind a stone pillar. He whispered, "Stay low. Don't move until I say." Her small hand gripped his wrist, trembling. You can't fight them all. Marcus gave a faint smile. I don't need to fight them all. I just need to be smarter. The soldiers advanced, searching through debris. Marcus studied their path, then threw a shard of metal across the street. It clattered loudly against the stones. Instantly, the soldiers turned toward the noise, shouting orders. In that distraction, Marcus pulled the girl silently through a narrow passage, guiding her until they were far from danger. When they stopped to breathe, she stared at him with wide eyes. You tricked them. Sometimes the strongest weapon, Marcus said, is knowing when not to fight. Her lips curved into a small smile. She was beginning to see that humans weren't the monsters she had been told about. They were something else, something dangerous, yes, but clever and steady in ways her empire had never taught. As they pushed forward, hunger began to gnaw at her. She slowed, pressing her hand to her stomach. Marcus noticed and stopped. He searched the ruins until he found a vendor's stall half buried under rubble. Inside, dried fruit was scattered, covered in dust but still edible. He offered some to her. She hesitated. You'll take none? He shook his head. I've gone longer without food than you. Eat. She bit into the fruit, her eyes softening as she realized he had given her the only share. No soldier of her empire had ever shown her such sacrifice. Quietly, she whispered again, almost to herself, Why do I feel safe with you, human? Marcus didn't reply. He only adjusted his pack and kept moving, but inside his chest, the words struck deep. He had never thought of himself as a guardian. Yet here, with this child clinging to him, he felt a weight heavier than any rifle. By midday, they reached the edge of the city. The ruins gave way to open fields scarred by war. Black smoke curled in the distance where camps had been burned. Marcus scanned the horizon. Somewhere out there, humans still fought. If he could reach them, maybe hope remained, But before they could step into the fields, a shadow fell across them. A figure emerged from the smoke, an alien commander in full armor, taller and stronger than the soldiers they had escaped. His weapon gleamed, his eyes narrowing as they landed on the girl. Marcus instantly pushed her behind him, rifle raised. His voice dropped to a growl. "Stay back." The commander's lips curved into a cruel smile. "So, the lost daughter of the princess hides with a human. How amusing." The girl's fingers clutched Marcus's arm. For the first time, she did not cry or beg. She stood close behind him, trembling but whispering with certainty. "You'll protect me." "I know you will." The war had taken everything from her, but in this moment, she placed all her faith in the one man her people had called a savage. Marcus's grip tightened on his weapon. One soldier, one child, and an empire's hand reaching out to crush them both. The alien commander's armor shimmered in the dim light, reflecting the glow of burning fields behind him. He was taller than Marcus by a head, with broad shoulders and a curved blade humming with energy. His eyes fixed on the girl, and his smile showed no mercy. "The daughter of the princess," the commander said slowly, almost enjoying the sound. "Your capture will restore honor to me. Step aside, human. She belongs to the Empire." Marcus did not lower his rifle. His stance stayed firm, his voice steady. "She belongs to no one. Not to you. Not to me. And I'm not letting you take her." The commander's laugh rumbled like thunder. "A broken soldier dares defy the Empire? Humans are insects, loud, stubborn, but crushed easily." The girl clung to Marcus's arm, her golden eyes wide. Fear shook her, but she whispered, barely loud enough for him to hear, "Please, don't leave me." Marcus lowered his voice just for her. "I won't, no matter what." The commander struck first. His blade slashed forward, fast and sharp. Marcus dodged, the energy crackling so close it scorched the air by his cheek. He fired his rifle, but the commander's armor deflected the shots, sparks flying. The clash echoed through the ruins. Human steel against alien power. The girl crouched behind rubble, watching with trembling hands. Every strike of the commander's blade felt like thunder. Every counter Marcus made seemed too small, too fragile. Yet he did not give ground. He moved with calm precision, using broken stones for cover, forcing the commander to swing wide and waste his strength. But Marcus was tiring. His breaths grew heavy, his rifle nearly empty. A final strike from the commander knocked the weapon from his hands, sending it clattering across the ground. The alien raised his blade high, ready to finish him. "No!" The girl cried, her voice sharp and desperate. Without thinking, she rushed forward, throwing herself between Marcus and the commander. Her small body stood trembling, but her eyes glowed bright as fire. "You will not touch him." For a moment, even the commander hesitated. The sight of royal blood standing in defiance carried weight, even for an enemy soldier. But his hesitation turned to anger. "Foolish child," he snarled, raising his blade again. Marcus surged forward. With raw strength, he grabbed the commander's wrist before the blade could fall. His muscles strained, his teeth clenched, and with a roar he twisted the weapon aside. The blade hissed against stone, missing both him and the girl. Marcus slammed his fist into the commander's jaw, then another into his chest. The alien staggered back, surprised by the human's relentless force. Seizing the moment, Marcus snatched up his fallen rifle and fired point-blank at the weak joint of the commander's armor. The shot pierced through. The commander roared in pain, stumbling before collapsing to one knee. Breathing hard, Marcus aimed the rifle at his head. But the commander, wounded and beaten, spat blood and growled, "Kill me, human. It will not matter. The Empire will come. She cannot be protected forever." Marcus did not fire. Instead, he lowered the weapon slowly, his gaze cold. "Go back and tell them. Tell them one human was enough to stop you. The commander's eyes burned with hate, but survival forced him to retreat. Limping, he disappeared into the smoke, leaving the ruins behind. Silence fell. Marcus turned to the girl, who was still trembling where she stood. He knelt, steadying her shoulders. "You shouldn't have done that. You could have been killed." Her eyes filled with tears, but her voice was steady. "I couldn't let him hurt you. You protected me. So I had to try." Marcus stared at her, realizing that the fragile bond between them had grown stronger in that single moment. She no longer saw him as just a shield. She saw him as someone worth protecting too. He let out a long breath and stood. "We can't stay here. More will come." As they crossed into the open fields, the girl's steps were lighter than before. Despite the danger, despite the war still raging, she whispered again, not to herself this time but directly to him. "When I stand beside you, I feel safe." Marcus did not answer, but his grip on his rifle tightened. He knew the Empire would not stop. They would send more soldiers, more hunters, maybe even her own kin. Protecting her would not just be hard, it could be impossible. And yet, as the smoke rolled across the battlefield and the sound of distant cannons echoed, Marcus knew one thing with certainty. He would not abandon her. Not now, not ever. The fields beyond the city stretched far and empty, scarred with the black marks of war. Smoke drifted across the horizon, carrying the bitter smell of burned metal and blood. Marcus moved carefully, scanning every ridge and shadow. The girl walked close beside him, her small steps quickened to match his stride. She did not complain of hunger or fear now, but her eyes stayed fixed on him as if his presence alone kept her steady. Hours passed, and they reached the edge of a ruined camp. Tents lay in tatters, weapons scattered in the dirt. Marcus searched through the wreckage, finding a canteen half filled with water and a packet of dried rations. He handed them to her without hesitation. She frowned. "But I've had worse days," he said with a faint smile. "Eat." Her golden eyes softened. She obeyed, though slowly, as if unsure she deserved it. Every small kindness from him chipped away at the wall of lies her empire had built about humans. When night fell again, they found shelter beneath the remains of an old transport ship, its hull cracked open like a broken shell. Marcus built a small fire from scraps of wood and metal, careful to keep it hidden from view. The warmth lit the girl's face, making her look less like a royal heir and more like any other child seeking comfort. For a long while, she was quiet. Then, in a voice trembling but curious, she asked, "Why do you fight the Empire? You could have bowed and lived under its rule like so many others." Marcus poked the fire with a shard of metal, his eyes reflecting the flames. "Because we don't bow. Humans. We were born in places where even the land tried to kill us. Storms, hunger, beasts, fire. We learned to stand. If we kneel, we lose who we are." The girl hugged her knees, listening closely. "My mother said humans were dangerous because of that." Marcus looked at her directly. "Your mother is right. We are dangerous. But not to children. Not to those who need protecting. To tyrants. To those who believe fear makes them gods. That is where humans are dangerous." Her chest tightened. For the first time, she wondered if her mother feared humans not because they were cruel, but because they could not be controlled. The fire crackled. The girl's eyelids grew heavy, and she leaned slightly toward Marcus. Before she drifted into sleep, she whispered, "I think you are the only one I trust." Marcus stayed awake, rifle across his lap, watching the dark. Her words stayed with him, heavy yet strangely warming. He had not asked for this bond, but it had taken root. The next day, the peace broke. They were crossing a shallow valley when the air suddenly trembled with the roar of engines. Alien dropships cut across the sky, their shadows sweeping over the ground. Marcus grabbed the girl's hand and pulled her into the cover of rocks. Dust rose as the ships descended, soldiers leaping out in formation. The girl's breath quickened. "They're searching for me." Marcus scanned the soldiers, too many, too heavily armed. His jaw tightened. "Then we run." They slipped through gullies and shattered ground. But the soldiers spread wide, their scanners sweeping the valley. A sharp cry rang out when one spotted movement. Energy fire exploded around them, scorching the rocks. Marcus pulled the girl down, shielding her with his body as blasts tore past. They sprinted again, Marcus forcing his legs to move faster than exhaustion allowed. The girl stumbled, nearly falling, but he lifted her into his arms without breaking stride. Shots burned the air behind him, close enough to sting his skin. Finally, they reached a ridge where the land dropped into a deep canyon. Below, a broken bridge stretched halfway across before collapsing into nothing. Marcus set the girl down, breathing hard. Soldiers closed in from above, their weapons raised. The only path left was the broken bridge leading into open sky. The girl's voice cracked. "We're trapped." Marcus's eyes scanned the gap, then the jagged rocks far below. His face hardened. "Not trapped, just tested." He turned to her, his voice firm despite the chaos. "Stay with me. No matter what happens, don't let go." Her golden eyes filled with fear, but also with something new belief. She nodded, small fingers clutching his hand tightly. As the soldiers drew closer, Marcus stepped onto the broken bridge. His heart pounded, but his grip on her hand did not falter. Behind them, the Empire's army advanced. Ahead of them, only danger waited. And yet, in the girl's trembling whisper, hope still lived. "I feel safe with you." The broken bridge groaned under Marcus's boots as he led the girl forward. The canyon below stretched endlessly, filled with jagged stone and shadows. Behind them, soldiers shouted orders, weapons raised, their steps growing louder. The Empire had found its prey, and they would not stop until the princess's daughter was in their hands. The girl's grip on Marcus's hand was tight, her golden eyes wide with fear. "There's no way across," she whispered, voice breaking. Marcus scanned the shattered bridge. Its end dangled into the abyss, but beyond the canyon's edge he saw a thin path carved into the rocks. A chance, small and dangerous, but a chance. He knelt quickly, looking at her. "You trust me?" Her lip trembled. "Yes, more than anyone." He nodded once. "Then hold on." As the soldiers advanced, Marcus lifted her into his arms and ran. The bridge cracked under his weight, dust falling into the endless drop below. Blaster fire tore through the air, scorching stone. At the last broken edge, Marcus didn't stop. He pushed off with all his strength, leaping into the open air. For a breathless moment, they were falling. The wind roared in their ears. The girl buried her face against his chest, her voice a muffled cry. But Marcus twisted mid-her, landing hard against the rocky slope on the other side. Pain jolted through his body, but his arms never let go of her. They slid down rough stone before coming to rest on the narrow path. Above them, the soldiers shouted in frustration, their weapons unable to reach across the canyon. The Empire's hand had been outstretched, but Marcus had slipped through. The girl clung to him, tears streaking her ash-stained face. You saved me again." Marcus helped her to her feet, though his own legs shook with exhaustion. "I told you. I won't let them take you." They followed the narrow path, moving deeper into the canyon until the enemy voices faded. Hours passed and at last they saw smoke rising, not from burning, but from human camps. Tents marked with Earth's banners stood in the distance, guarded by soldiers in battered armor. The girl slowed, her eyes nervous. "Will your people accept me?" Marcus stopped, crouching to meet her gaze. "They will see you as I do. Not as an enemy, as someone who needs protection. And if they don't, then they'll answer to me." Her small hand reached up, resting lightly on his. For the first time, her smile was free of fear. "You're different from anyone I've ever known." When they entered the camp, Human soldiers turned in surprise. Their rifles rose at the sight of alien colors on the girl's torn robes. But Marcus stood tall, placing himself between her and their suspicion. "She's with me," he said firmly. "She's under my protection." The commander of the camp, a scarred veteran, frowned. "That's the daughter of the enemy princess. You know what she means: leverage, ransom, danger." Marcus's jaw tightened. "She means none of that. She means trust. She means a chance to show the Empire what it never understood, that humans don't destroy children. We protect them." The camp fell into silence. The soldiers lowered their weapons slowly, their eyes shifting from Marcus to the girl. She stood close to him, her golden eyes unblinking. And then, in a soft voice, she spoke not to Marcus, but to all the humans watching. "Why do I feel safe with him?" she asked, her words trembling yet clear. "Because he is not like the others. Because when everyone else wanted chains or blades, he gave me his hand." Her words carried farther than she knew. Whispers spread through the camp. The hardened faces of soldiers softened, if only for a moment. The Empire called humans savages, but here was proof of something else, something stronger. Marcus placed a steady hand on her shoulder. He didn't smile, but his voice was calm, certain. "As long as I breathe, no one will harm her." And so, in a war-torn galaxy where fear ruled and empires crushed hope, one fragile bond became a spark. A human soldier and the daughter of an alien princess had forged something the Empire could not control. Trust. It would not end the war that night. It would not silence the cannons or stop the fleets. But it would grow. It would spread. And it would remind both human and alien alike that sometimes the greatest power was not in weapons or crowns, but in the promise spoken through a child's trembling voice. "I feel safe with you."